All right, today's mission is catching largemouth bass. Me and my good fishing buddy here, Jack, we're gonna go out and we're gonna try to catch some largemouth bass through the ice. And we're actually gonna keep a few largemouth bass to eat. Now, before all you bass rats get all up in arms about me keeping a few bass, I'll explain as we go along why I'm doing it and how bass are actually a really plentiful game fish up here. And there's a lot of lakes where there's a lot of small bass, and it actually can be a good thing to keep a few. So we're gonna go out and cut some holes and find some bass. All right, so I've been on this lake a number of times before, and I know this general zone has bass, but one thing about bass is they're very curious fish. So what I'm gonna do is just go take my little auger here, cut a handful of holes, look around, see how the weeds are, and see if the fish are there. One of the handiest tools you can have for finding bass and panfish, especially in shallow water, is this little guy. If they're there, they'll show themselves right away. Yep, nobody home there, we'll keep moving. Basically, we're on a pretty good sized lake, and this is a big bay. Weeds, so this is a spot that holds bass year round, so I'm just gonna punch some holes and look to see if I can find them first before I put any lines down. Signs of life, a bass and a couple bluegill. So I think what I'm gonna do is start fishing here since I'm seeing life. Basically gonna throw down a tip up and a minnow on one for my one line, and then jig with another line. So bass are, like I said earlier, you know, they're catchable in the wintertime. I mean, a lot more than people think. I've been doing it for quite a while, and hands down, my favorite way to catch them, or the most effective way to catch them, is on a shiner minnow like this. Just a 3 to 4 inch shiner minnow on a plain hook. And right now we're in a shallow weedy bay. There's green weeds down there, and we're only in like 6 or 7 foot of water. So I'm literally putting this minnow down, not even an arm length down, because they're riding high above the weeds. So it's really shallow water. And in these weeds, you'll find pockets where there's big tall weeds that grow almost up to the surface. So you don't want to just blindly drill a hole and put a line down, because when your minnow's down there, it'll swim around and get tangled in the weeds and you won't be fishing. So after I cut my holes, I check with this camera to see if there's a good radius around the hole where the minnow's going to be, so that my minnow isn't going to get hung up. So that way I know the fish will come into this opening, see the minnow, take the line out, and I won't get all tangled up in the weeds. So kind of a method to the madness here. Wow, that didn't take long. I don't even have my other lines holes drilled yet, and the flag's up already. That's a good sign. Let's see what we got here. Is there anybody home? Oh, there he is. Yep, there's something there. Got a feeling it's a pike by the way he's fighting. What do you think, Jack? Nope, it's our targeted species. Look at that, Jack. Yay! Huh? That's what we came for. Right there. That took all of 5 minutes. And that's what I'm telling you. These shiners are deadly for bass. Now, what I'm going to do is, I was talking about keeping a fish. And I'm not just going to keep any fish. I'm going to keep fish that are in a certain slot. Like, I'm not out to kill big fish. I want to keep fish that are like in the 11 to 14 inch range. So I brought a stick width to measure them, and if they're in between 11 to 14, this will be a perfect one for filleting out. Right? Huh? Let's go see if we can get another one. So basically, you can use whatever you want for hooks, leaders, and line, but my preference is standard 20-pound, no freeze tip-up line on there, a barrel swivel, and a sinker. And then I got about a 3 to 4 foot lead of 10 to 12 pound fluorocarbon, and putting a couple shot down there, because these big shiners can be really active, and the shot keeps the minnow down in their face more instead of it getting it way out there. And then I prefer these wide bend hooks. Oh, you know, the old school type Kayleys they're called. That's my go-to setup here, with a nice lively shiner on there. That there is like hard to beat to find bass, to find and catch bass. Look at this guy back down. You can see here's my knot. I just put a slip bobber knot there for my marker, so real easy, doesn't catch on the ice as much, but I'm only fishing 4 to 5 feet down, so kind of cool. We'll be back. Oh, come on. Oh man, that was a big fish. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh, there he is. Come on. Come on. Oh, he bumped it. Come on. There, I got him. This is a big fish. This is a big fish. There, I gotta get my line out of there. Come on. Yeah, this is a good one. This one came in as a big old red mark. Disappeared and came back. It's probably a big pike, but it's gonna be my guess. But still, it's really fun. What do we got here? A walleye. Wow, a nice walleye. Look at this. What a bonus, huh? Look at this thing. I'm not going to argue with that. That is a good fish. So yeah, it's 2 in the afternoon, bright sunny sky, 5 feet of water, and I've been seeing some marks coming in and they weren't biting. And basically all I'm using is this little the smallest of the slab wraps, Rapala slab wrap, you can see, and I just tipped it with a little maggot in case a big crappie or sunny came in. But yeah, this guy came in and cracked her pretty good, so I think I am going to take a look at this guy, and there we go. Fun bonus. We're after bass and we get a nice walleye. All right. I think I'm going to let this guy go. Cool. Well, that was fun, and I guess I'd say unexpected. You don't often think about catching a walleye in the middle of the day in 6 feet of water, but that's fishing for you. I'm just going to talk quick about a little bit about the couple rods I'm using to jig for bass and also walleye, I guess. But basically I'm using, I'd call it light walleye tackle and even sometimes panfish tackle. You don't need really heavy stuff to target these bass. I've got 3 and 4 pound line on both of these rods. So both the rods I'm using today are tuned up custom rods. This one here happens to be a precision 32 inch. It's got a little bit faster tip and a more backbone up here. Good for using a little bigger baits like this, jig and wraps, slab wraps, rip and wrap, stuff like that, with 4 pound line. And I did put a swivel on here and a snap for changing baits and for lure spin. And the other one I got is a Fusion, and this one's a 36 inch rod. It's a bit longer and it's got a little slower action, a little more parabolic, I guess I would say. But this is like really, it looks like it might be wimpy for bass, but it actually works really good. It's also good for fishing for big crappies and trout and stuff. But the deal is when you're fishing a big fish like that and you're getting the head bucks, this rod absorbs the shock with the longer and softer, so you can be fighting a fish and you don't have to worry about playing it with your drag. The rod itself is fighting the fish up and down, and you can give and not have to worry about the line snapping. So these 2 rods here, and then I guess with this rod, I should say, I'm just using a soft plastic. So I just got a tungsten head with a black soft plastic on here, and soft plastics work really good for bass. They can be surprisingly finicky, a big fish with a big mouth, and they will just come up and grab these little things by the tail and sometimes not grab them at all, but they're really delicate biters when it comes to biting little lures. And if I find I'm having fish come up that aren't biting well, looking at these 2 lures and not biting, I'll often rig a 3rd rod or have another rod handy and just rig it with basically it's a bluegill jig or a crappie jig. This happens to be a tungsten tubby jig, but any tungsten jig, horizontal or vertical, with either a waxworm or a maggot, and this actually catches a lot of bass. You'd be surprised. Ooh, got this one too. This is a better fish. So right now I'm on an extra tip up we got out for Bill Linder's with me, and we're filming a little bit of underwater footage too. See what we got here. Ooh, a nice bass. And this is a good bass here. This one's quite a bit bigger. So this is probably a 15 incher. So we're gonna let this guy go. Oh, there we go. We got this one, Jack. We got this one. I think it's gonna be a pike. Nope, it's our target species. Oh-hoo! Look at that. That's perfect. That's like a 12 incher right there. So when I'm out looking for a couple bass to keep, this is like the perfect size bass. A lake like this, you know, you can come here in the summertime and catch, you know, 50, 60 bass, and a lot of them are going to be this size. So you're not doing any harm by removing a few fish this size from it. In fact, you might be helping it a little. So I'm going to keep this guy. If I get any bigger ones, they're going back. All right. Yeah, this guy's a little bit big, but see what I got it on? A little plastic, and see where he is, right in the beak. It wasn't like a killer day. We ended up getting a few fish to bring home, and we're gonna do blackened bass. So bass are a great fish for doing this with. They're a coarser grained fish, kind of like a redfish or a striper that, but I've had really good luck blackening bass. So we're gonna take these 2 bass that I ended up keeping today, go home and blacken some bass. So how exactly do you blacken fish? Well, the proper way to do it is to take this butter, melt it down in a bowl. You take these bare fish fillets, you dip them in butter, put them on a plate, and then you sprinkle this seasoning all over the buttered fish. Then you put them in this pan that's over gas heat that's really extremely hot. I'm gonna sort of do it the cheater method, that it's a little less messy. So the first thing you wanna do is season the fish. So I'm gonna take this blackened redfish magic, and you can make your own. You can look up online and you can make blackened seasoning of your own, but this is like the main dude who did it back in the day, and this is the good stuff. So I just went and got a bottle of this stuff. I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna sprinkle it just a nice even layer over all 4 sides of these fish. And then what I'm gonna do is flip them over and do the same on the other side. So now we've got both sides of the fish covered, and we're gonna go outside, set up our pan, and get the heat going. And this is like really a quick process. So once you got it here, you're gonna melt your butter down, and then you're ready to roll. And as you can see, it's pretty smoky. So this is definitely why you wanna do this outside. So we're gonna get this half a stick of butter, melt it all the way down. All right, so we got us. Just gonna let it go for like another minute here to really heat her up. All right, like I said, this is the kind of my cheating way of doing it. It's not the exact way, but it works. I found it works really well, and you get the same effect. So we're gonna drop our fish in. This thing's smoking really good. More. Gonna level out the butter here a little bit. This only takes like a minute and a half on each side. This pan is like super hot, so they're curling up already. So we're gonna give her a little bit here. All right, so our minute and a half to, I guess, 2 minutes is up. We're gonna flip it, and there we go. We're getting good and black right there. It's just seared black on the side. We're gonna do the same thing here. Flip these 4 over and give it about the same amount on the other side. And we're done. And there you have it, blackened largemouth bass. So next time you're out fishing on a lake that has a lot of small to medium-sized bass, don't be afraid to keep a couple of them and try them out. This recipe works great.